So two players decided to have a wedding ceremony on the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft, a place notorious for griefing and hacking. And as you would expect, the wedding was crashed, and not just once, but twice. This is probably the weirdest Minecraft video I've made in a while, and the story behind it is ridiculous. Not only did a group of builders come together to create an entire town for the wedding, but griefers were actually competing with each other to be the ones to ruin this special day. To make things even more bizarre, I was requested to officiate the wedding as minister, and as you would expect, news of this would result in chaos. Today we'll discuss the bizarre story about how a wedding ceremony on 2B2T was crashed 2 separate times. We'll examine the large amount of work that went on behind the scenes and discuss how griefers undermined each other so that they could be the ones to attack the wedding. Just when I thought I'd seen everything, right? Before we get started, I'd like to thank Honey for sponsoring today's video. Online shopping is meant to be easy, so why is finding coupon codes that actually work so hard? With Honey, it doesn't have to be. Honey is the free online shopping tool that helps you find promo codes and applies them to your shopping cart automatically. When you're checking out on websites for things like food delivery or online shopping, a little box will drop down. Click Apply Coupons and it scans the internet for promo codes, and boom! You could save money. No matter what you enjoy purchasing online, it'll make the shopping experience more fun. If you don't want to waste money, make sure to get Honey. It doesn't cost anything, finds coupons with a click, and also works with PayPal and Venmo. It's legit. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/FitMC. That's joinhoney.com/FitMC. Thanks again to Honey for sponsoring today's video. So how did this bizarre event materialize in the first place? Well, not long ago, I was approached by 2 players. They wanted to have a wedding ceremony on 2B2T and requested me to be the one to officiate the event. At first, I thought they were legitimately getting married, so I accepted the offer. I thought it would be funny because in real life, I actually can legally perform marriages. So, funny story, back in my college days, as a joke, I went online and got certified as a Dudist priest. Dudism is a religion based off the film The Big Lebowski, and by printing off your certificate, you can legally perform marriages in all 50 US states. Now, naturally, I thought this was going to be a very humorous situation, but as news of the upcoming event spread, it didn't take long for the server's most active griefing group, the Fifth Column, to show interest. Now, if you haven't heard of them before, let me show you something. In the Java edition of Minecraft, if you go into the online settings, you'll see an option named Allow Server Listings. The Fifth Column was griefing so many Minecraft servers that Mojang specifically added this feature to prevent the targeting of famous usernames. When you force the developers to put in a feature, you've done a little trolling. But the leader of the group, Orson, informed me that the 2 players were not actually getting married. The Fifth Column intended to grief the ceremony, claiming they already had an insider in the planning committee. Now at this point, I could have warned everyone involved in the event, but knowing the wedding was a sham, I kind of wanted to see this disaster unfold, so I kept my mouth shut. Think of me as chaotic neutral in this situation. A group of builders agreed to come together to build a large town that the ceremony would take place at, and I was invited to visit there a few days early. I logged into the alt account that I would be using to officiate. I traveled through the Nether and arrived at the coordinates. The builders had already been very busy, building magnificent structures and expanding the layout of the town. I was actually impressed by how quickly everything had been built, and even though the wedding was just a meme, it was going to be fun at least. Even more fun knowing chaos would eventually unfold. The chapel would use minecarts so that all the wedding guests could actually sit down during the ceremony. It was clever. Behind the chapel, there was a giant wedding cake that basically looked like a large temple. And of course, there were plenty of regular cakes around as well. After finishing the initial tour of the builds, I found a place to log out at until the day of the actual event. The fifth column and their associates had been planning their attack on the ceremony. They actually had detailed instructions on where to be, what direction to approach from, and even planned to have members log in while inside the chapel. This would give them the element of surprise, and considering how long the speech was that I was given to recite, they would have a huge window of opportunity to attack. Things were looking pretty smooth for them, but it turns out they weren't the only griefers planning something. When I logged in the morning of the wedding, the base was already in ruins. Turns out the 2B2T player Zero Neb had griefed the base overnight. Instead of waiting for the ceremony, Zero Neb griefed when hardly anyone was online, long before the festivities would begin. This is one of those rare situations where both the builders and griefers ended up disappointed. The fifth column had been beaten to the punch, and now the ceremony couldn't take place, so the event was postponed and moved to a new location. This time, they had to be far more careful with the coordinates, as clearly the first location was too public, and it ended up costing them the base. Like the old saying goes, loose lips sink ships. 4 of the main builders chose a new location farther out from spawn, and kept the coordinates a secret. So secret that even the wedding party was not told where it was. They really wanted this event to take place, and wanted to make sure there were no leaks of any kind. In just 5 days, they ended up building an even larger base than the first. A massive cathedral with tons of small details and plenty of references to the server's history. The wedding party was given coordinates, and they traveled to the base. I had to inform them that I was not able to attend the second event, but a good friend of mine was able to take my place as minister. While all of this was going on, the fifth column was attempting to find the second location. Unlike the first event, they had no insiders this time, so they weren't having much luck. 1 week after the first event was supposed to take place, the second one was ready, and everyone on the guest list was given coordinates. Before players arrived, the wedding party did a small private meme ceremony just to be able to say they went through with it. But as guests started arriving for the public ceremony, one of them would leak the coordinates. I think you can guess what happens next. Before the ceremony started, everyone was inside the church. As it was about to start, the griefers began their attack, and they had no affiliation with the fifth column, so for a second time, they had been beaten to the punch. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, the wedding was crashed. Players were attacked, and the base was being blown to smithereens. During the chaos, the wedding party was actually killed and sent all the way back to spawn. After a few hours of madness, the event was officially over, marking 2 weddings in a row that had been crashed by griefers. Considering all of the work and planning that went into this event, only to have it be destroyed makes the moral of this story pretty clear. Don't get married, especially on the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft. Well, if you enjoyed today's shenanigans, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Take it easy, Fit Fam, and do your best to survive out there. Alright?